Hey guys, it's Steve here with the Food Pilgrimage, and I'm super excited to be in Vilnius, Lithuania. So it's the capital city of Lithuania, and there's two big reasons why I'm so excited to be here today. First one is we haven't travelled for such a long time. This is the first time we've really got out of the country since coronavirus started really. Yeah, like 2 years we haven't travelled properly. So super excited to be out. It's so refreshing and it's so good for my mind just to be in a different country with everything different and interesting. I was going absolutely mad in the UK, and we can finally travel. So first reason why I'm so happy. And secondly, I love this city. So Ida's Lithuanian and we're visiting her family here as well. So we've got her brother and his fiance over in the background. We're going to go for some drinks and some food, and we're going to explore. And Vilnius is just such a cool city. There's so much historic stuff here to see. So we're going to see some sights. We're going to see some of the local hot spots to come and visit if you're in Vilnius, and we're going to film basically a whole day. We're going to do breakfast, lunch, dinner. Yeah, I'm going to go and try some local beers and eat all the traditional Lithuanian food. So lots of meat, lots of potatoes, and everything delicious like that. So really excited. So we're having a look at Vilnius Cathedral. So the Cathedral Square here is pretty much the centre of the city. You've got the old town over to one side and you've got the newer part of the town over to the other. And there's been a church on this site for, well, since about the 13th century in some shape or form. It was thought that the pagan gods were worshipped here before Lithuania converted to Christianity, which Lithuania did convert to Christianity really late compared to the rest of Europe, and they worshipped paganism and the elements, so fire, earth, wind and water, really late on compared to most other countries in Europe. So now this is a Christian church, but on this site's been worship of some form for a really long time. This one here right now was finished in about 1800, so it's about 220 years old, but yeah, there's been some sort of place of worship here for a really long time, and it's beautiful. Apparently there are really good catacombs you can come and visit. We're not going to do that this time, but it could be a really great thing to come and see whilst you're here, and you've got to come and visit this square. It's the heart of the city. We're wandering around the old town and we're trying to find the narrowest street in Vilnius. It's apparently a bit of a landmark. So we're walking around and we found it on Google Maps, but it's a bit difficult to find. Probably because it's so small. But we're finding some cool little alleys and nooks and crannies, and there are bars and cafes everywhere. It's a great place to come and just stroll and get lost and explore and find somewhere for a drink or a croissant. We found it, the narrowest street in Vilnius. Yeah, you definitely couldn't get a car down there. There's so many cool little corners, so much to explore. if you are coming to Vilnius, I'd really suggest staying in the old town as well. There's loads of hotels around here. They're really reasonable as well. You don't need to go and stay far out on the outskirts, and it's just the most interesting place. It's full of history. It's got all the beautiful old streets, the bars, the restaurants. Yeah, just look for hotels here. There's a lot of really reasonable ones, like even 20, 30 euros a night for a good room. So it's the place to be. The difference between the old town and the outskirts of Vilnius is huge. I mean, when you land at the airport and you're coming in and you see all the Soviet tower blocks, it feels like you're in USSR Russia with all the grey concrete buildings. But then when you come into this old town, it completely changes, and it's almost like a mini sort of quiet version of Paris. It's beautiful, but it's so different as you come into the centre. So for breakfast in Vilnius, there's loads of cafes everywhere. There's a really strong cafe culture, and it does remind me of a little mini Paris. There's loads of people sitting outside the front of the cafes with a coffee, and to eat for food. They sell loads of little pastries, little homemade cakes, croissants. Also, a really traditional Lithuanian breakfast is pancakes. So pancakes with berries, blueberries, and there's lovely, as they call it, curd. So it's a little bit like cottage cheese, and they're really, really nice. And it's perfect to just grab a coffee, a light breakfast, and have a really slow morning whilst you're exploring the city. So we're heading up now to see what's probably the most famous landmark in Vilnius, most famous building for sure, which is this castle behind. It's called Gediminas Castle, I think, if I'm getting my Lithuanian pronunciation correct. So it's a medieval castle up on this big hill overlooking the city. It's just behind the cathedral, and there's an interesting story about this. This hill used to be covered in trees, and it kind of obscured the castle a bit. So I don't know when, 30, 40, 50 years ago, the government decided to cut all the trees down to improve the views for the tourists. But what they didn't realise was the whole hill was actually being held together by the roots of those trees. So the trees were cut down, the roots died, and now there's a huge problem, and they're really worried that the castle is going to slowly slide off the edge of the hill, because if you can see, it is right on the edge, and that hill is pretty steep. They've had to spend a lot of money doing a load of works recently, driving these huge metal stakes into the hills to try and strengthen it up a little bit. So a bit of a disaster of government planning there. And what we can see here, you can see all of the stone here, and over to this side as well. You can kind of see there's a load of works taking place just to try and save their structure. So we're going to go up and explore now. It's actually quite a lot of steps. We've made the climb up to the big tower. Here it is behind us. You can go inside if you want to, but there are amazing views up here of the city nonetheless, even if you don't go inside. It's a really cool history. So there were a couple of these up here on this big medieval fort, and there's still some remains sort of over in the background, but it was attacked and destroyed, well, not destroyed, damaged several times by the Christian Crusades firstly, and then by a war with Moscow in the 17th century as well. And then after World War II, they decided to choose the best preserved one of the towers, and they made it into a tourist attraction and sort of renovated it and rebuilt it, and that's what's here today. So come and see it, hopefully before it falls off the edge of the edge of the hill, because they cut all the trees down. But it's amazing. Come up here just for the view, really, and to see the castle. There's also been quite a lot of filming here. So the BBC, when they were filming War and Peace, I think it was, they used this as one of the locations, and also other places around Lithuania and Vilnius. So it's a beautiful, beautiful spot. This is the view from next to the tower. It's a beautiful city. You can see the old town down there, and there's loads of churches, some really, really, really pretty old churches too. There's great stuff to explore, and we're going to go down and explore all of the old town's little streets and bars and restaurants and places to grab a drink. You can really see from up here how small the city actually is. So I guess you can walk from one side right to the other of the historical centre, and probably an hour and a half you can walk right across it. So it's not a massive city. And if you stay, I mean, we've always stayed whenever we've come within walking distance of the cathedral. So either in the old town or just around the Cathedral Square. I think I'd suggest that's the best place to stay, because then you're walking distance to anything you want: restaurants, bars, nightlife. Yeah, that's the location I'd recommend. There's a lot of hotels further out, but stick to the old town. So everything we've been talking about so far has been the lovely old town of Vilnius, but you can see in the distance here, from the other side of the hill, you've got a lot of the old Soviet tower blocks. I love those, and that's an adventure for another day. We are going to do another video where we go and explore all of those old Soviet parts of Lithuania. So make sure you subscribe so you don't miss those. Now we're heading up a big hill which is behind the castle, and it's called Three Cross Hill. It's really famous in Vilnius, and there's a big statue of 3 crucifixes up on the top. And apparently it's where you get the best views of the city, even better than from the castle. It's a bit of a climb. We're climbing through the forest. I need to do some exercise and stop eating so much. It's really green and foresty. Vilnius is such a green and luscious city. There's loads of parks, loads of green spaces to explore, and this is right behind the cathedral, so right in central. Looks like people have had a bonfire here, maybe had a barbecue.
Worshipping place.
Wow.
A druid circle.
Yeah, druid circle.
The pagan history, worshipping the fire and the earth and the water. It's all the traditions pre-Christianity there, isn't it?
Yeah.
We've got a druid circle here.
So yeah, it's all about the fire and then the
Beautiful.
nature. It's quite interesting, isn't it?
And a little wreath.
And they invite people to like pray here and just celebrate like Lithuanian traditions and things like that.
We've just been doing some super quick research on the significance of these crosses, and basically it's supposed to represent the origins of Christianity in Lithuania. So there's a story from the 13th century of these Franciscan monks or friars that came as missionaries to Lithuania to try and convert the Lithuanians from paganism to Christianity, and the Lithuanian people did not like that, and they burnt their monastery down, and they crucified a load of them and threw them in the river and beheaded 7 of them up here. And that's essentially why these crosses are here. So they've been here since, I think they were put here in the 16th century, but then during Soviet times in the 1950s they were destroyed. But when Lithuania became its own state again after the fall of the Soviet Union, they re-erected them, and yeah, they're back up here, and they've made this big stone permanent one now to really represent Christianity. And I guess there's a bit of a recovery after the Soviet Union. Right, we're getting hungry, so we're going to go and find some lunch. We're going to this old traditional restaurant which is right in the centre near the President's Palace. We've been there once before, but we're going to go and try it out again. We could get a taxi. Ubers and Bolts are crazy cheap here. I mean, like really cheap. Like it's €4 basically in an Uber to anywhere in the city. But there are these amazing old Soviet era trolley buses. These buses that drive around the roads, and they connect to the electricity cables up above that are running on all the roads. And they're all, well, a lot of them are original. There's still some of the old ones going around from like the 70s and 80s. So we've just got to try that. What an experience. So we're waiting for one now. One of the original ones. It feels like we're back in the 70s. This is amazing. You can imagine in the winter that this thing has no heating when it's minus 25, minus 30, there's snow and ice everywhere. The inside of the windows freezing up with ice. Yeah, you need to be well dressed. This is amazing. I'm really enjoying this far too much. It feels like we're riding on a piece of history. It's so old and rickety. It's so cool to think this is what the everyday Soviet worker would have ridden to work. Oh, I really enjoyed that little trolley bus. It was so busy. It just shows how many people still use those old transport methods. And I know a lot of people might not find that interesting, but I'm fascinated by the former Soviet Union, and to actually be able to go and get on the transport and see the way people used to travel to work and travel around, it's fascinating, and it's as close as you can get to actually experiencing what life might have been like in the Soviet Union, I guess, and it's amazing they're still in use. Right, it's time for lunch. We're really, really hungry. We've come to this cool little underground restaurant that you come down the stairs, and it feels a bit like a cave. It's got like a bar and a really well reviewed, good value food. It's like €8 or €9 for a main course. So we've gone for pork neck with a garlicky crust for Ida, and I have tried, I've seen it around quite a lot in Lithuania, but I've never tried it. It's freshwater fish, so I've gone for pike. I've never tried pike before. They have a lot of lakes and rivers in Lithuania, so there's lots of freshwater fish as opposed to the sea fish. So I've gone for a pike fillet with a pistachio sauce. No idea what that will be like, but I'm excited. That's the one. Alright, food has arrived. We've got, I'll start with Ida's one first. We've got pork neck fillet with I've forgotten what it was again. What was it?
Garlic crust.
With a garlic crust, yeah. So really garlicky pork neck fillet with some nice melted cheese, roasted potatoes, and pickled vegetables. So pickled gherkins, little pickled onions, and I've never seen that before, but pickled mushrooms. Sounds cool. Then we've got my one, which is the river fish, the pike. So huge, great fish, and it's a really, really big fillet. Look at that. It's a bit like a sea bass, but a river version. And a nice salad and a creamy cashew sauce and some big, like potato dumplings, I guess. Is that a potato dumpling? Would you say? Yeah, like a deep fried potato cake. So let's give them a try. I'm going to try Ida's one first. So pork neck with a garlic crust. Let's try some gravy. Looking good. It's really soft. Mm. Mm. Yeah, it's very good. Really garlicky. Yeah. Nice and cheesy with the melted cheese on top. Yeah, that's great. Mm. I wanted to try one of these pickled mushrooms too. I've never had a pickled mushroom before. Let's see. Mm. We've had some friends join us. Oh, the mushroom's good. Yeah. Vinegary mushroom. Perfect. And some little potatoes. Yeah, it's a serious lunch. It's a really good amount of food for lunchtime. Mm. Perfect. Just crispy roast potato with a bit of gravy on it. Mm. Yeah. Very good. Okay, pork was very good. Now let's try the fish. So Looks like it's kind of lightly battered. Yeah. Let's bring it down. It's a seriously meaty piece of fish. Wow, yeah, look at that. It's huge. Really nice. It's like really flaky white meat, but also quite substantial and quite meaty. So I'll try some of the cashew nut sauce, which again I've never had. Looking good. That's really good. Yeah, really thick fish. That's a huge piece. That's really generous. And the cashew sauce is interesting. I would never have thought to match fish with cashew nuts, but it's like a creamy, sort of rich sauce with these big whole cashew nuts in, but it's so good. I guess you can pair different things with river fish than you can with sea fish. And cashew nuts go really well with this one. Yeah, a little bit more. No, it's a serious forkful. Yeah, really nice. Really well seasoned, nice and crispy. Soft fish, perfect. I'll try one of these big cakes. Oh wow, so it's like a broccoli and potato cake. A little bit omelette-like, with the texture actually. Maybe it's got some egg in it. Oh, really interesting. It's not heavy like a potato. Really fluffy. It's like a souffle. Like it's really light, like full of air bubbles. But you can kind of see like fluffy egg holding it all together. It's like a really light, almost like an omelette with broccoli, onions, and potatoes. And is this quite traditional, Ida? Lithuanian food, would you say?
I think so. Like people would have this for lunch, for dinner. Yeah, it is.
And I guess if you're gonna have fish, it's probably gonna be a lake fish or a river fish.
Yeah, because I have so many lakes and rivers.
Yeah, but really good. Yeah, if you're in Lithuania, try some fish. That's great. So we've had some friends join us, and they've got a quick snack whilst they're here. And apparently these are really famous from this restaurant. So essentially, it's a big potato croquette. So it's like mashed potato with liquid gooey cheese inside with breadcrumbs, and then a really simple sauce. So it's we call it prawn cocktail in the UK. So it's ketchup mixed with mayo. But they look fantastic. They're huge and fluffy and cheesy. And so this restaurant is called Klaipėdos.
Sanami is this, like Klaipėda Old Town.
Klaipėda Old Town, essentially. So Klaipėda is a town on the coast of Lithuania on the Baltic Sea, like a seaside resort. And this is apparently a famous dish from that area. So if you come to this one, we'll put the name of the restaurants in the description. If you come to this one, you got to try these cheese fingers, I think they were called. Yeah, they're good. Okay, finished lunch. That was fantastic. So price was about 15 euros each for dinner and a glass of wine. Really good, but now on to the next place. So we've been walking for a while now, and it's, what, 7 p.m? So it's definitely time for a drink. If you like a drink and if you like a beer, Vilnius is a fantastic city for it. So, for example, last night we went to a bar called Plus Plus Plus. There's a few over the city. It's kind of a cheapish studenty bar. But if you want some good beers, I think we paid, it was €1.65 for a half litre. I mean, come on, that's a crazy, crazy price. €2 for a cider. We paid a bottle of red wine, €7. So you really can't go wrong. And the beers in Lithuania are fantastic. There's a really, really good brewery called the Vilnius Brewery, which I would highly recommend all their beers. One called Canis Lupus, try that, it's my favourite. So we're going to stop for a beer. We've come into the old town. As you can see, there's all charming little streets, little alleys and corridors almost, and really beautiful old buildings. And there's loads of bars on every corner, there's loads of little restaurants. This is a great place to come. I'll put the name of this street in the description below. It took us a little bit to find it again. We've been here before, but even so, it's a bit of a maze. So I'll put the name of the street in, and we're gonna go and get a cheap drink. Nice apero either?
Very nice. Good size.
We've had some drinks and now it's time for dinner. We're heading to a really traditional Lithuanian restaurant called Gediminas. Again, Lithuanian pronunciation, but we're going to eat some really traditional food. Gotta be careful not to get run over here. Yeah, some really, really traditional Lithuanian food. Potatoes, meat, cream. Delicious. I'm starving. Alright, we're in the restaurant. It's crazy busy. It's a Monday night, but it looks like every table's full, so we might have a bit of a wait, but it's a good sign, you know. If the place is busy, full of locals, the food's going to be good. And could I have sauerkraut soup with pork? Sorry, I didn't speak Lithuanian. Gediminas?
You will wait about 30 minutes, half an hour.
Okay. Yeah.
It's okay, we'll have
That's
soup
fine.
and
Yeah.
stuff. Yeah.
Alright, we've sat down. We've finally got our table. There was a really long wait. It's a Monday night, you know, just after the weekend, and it's absolutely packed. Every table's full. Outside is full. It's a good sign. I think it's lots of tourists coming for the traditional food, but that's not a bad thing. And really good reviews too. So there's four of us and we've each got a starter or a soup and a main course. So I'm definitely not going to remember what we've all had, but we'll find out when it comes. So I've got sauerkraut soup and pork rib for a starter, which I'm really looking forward to. And what's the Lithuanian name for what I got? The main course. Kedini something. Which is bline, Gediminas bline. So it's basically a potato pancake with pork mince and sour cream. So potatoes and meat again, and we have loads of other stuff. We've ordered a lot, so excited. So many potato dishes. The soups have all arrived and they're all completely different. They got Ida's mushroom one, we've got sauerkraut with pork, and this is a really, really traditional Lithuanian one. So it's cold beetroot soup with these little roasty potatoes, and I've had it once or twice before, and it's never been my absolute favourite, I think because I don't like beetroot that much, but it's different everywhere apparently, so I've got to give it a go. Look at the colour of it. It's beautiful. Like a really, really rich pink. Oh, actually, you know what? That's nicer than the last one I had. I like this one. I think it's less beetrooty. That's good. Yeah, that's delicious. And you're supposed to try it with a little bit of potato, so that's how you're supposed to have it. I like that this time. That's good. Yeah. Yeah, so it's very unusual. It's a cold soup which there's hardly any soups that are served cold, I guess, but apart from gazpacho. But it's got these shredded pieces of beetroot in it. Ooh, I found something. What is that? A potato? A beetroot? An egg! There's an egg in it! So it's got a boiled egg too. Yeah, really super traditional. Like if you think of one of the traditional Lithuanian dishes, this will be in the top 3, I think. It's, yeah, kind of similar to borscht, is it? To Russian? Is that right to say?
Yeah, it's borscht.
So borscht is a hot one.
Borscht is a hot one, okay. Borscht is the hot Russian style beetroot soup, and this is the more traditional Lithuanian cold one, but really good. I can see why people like it now. Okay, now onto the one that I ordered. This is sauerkraut and pork rib soup. Never tried this one. Let's give it a go. It's got little bits of potato floating in it. So yeah, it looks really hearty. I'm absolutely starving, and it's kind of cold today. So it's the start of September, so it's getting cold. So perfect time for a warming soup. Well, that's a really, really rich broth. You can taste the pork fat as well. That's great. And traditionally, I think you're supposed to have it with this brilliant rye bread. Really dark and sticky. To soak it all up. There we go. It's going to really warm you on a cold day. The pork rib's great. Yeah. Really fatty and really kind of juicy meat with that rich sauerkraut, kind of slightly sour, obviously. Sour broth with the cabbage. Yeah, it's delicious. Everyone's just saying that this particular soup, the sauerkraut with pork rib, is good for a hangover, and yeah, I can see why. If you come to Vilnius and you drink a bit too much, then come and have one of these sauerkraut and pork rib soups. I think that would completely cure you. It's perfect. I mean, rich, oily, with that lovely sour cabbage and the pork. Yeah, that would knock any beer hangover out of the park. And I just got her wild mushroom soup.
Yeah, so usually they said they serve it in like a bread bowl, but they run out of it, so it's just in a bowl.
Yeah.
But I'm sure it's gonna be amazing. It's very creamy. It looks very creamy. Oh, it's like eating mushrooms. It's amazing, and it's very thick. You can see, like, yeah, beautiful.
Soup was brilliant, and that was €2.50. Tell me a place you could get such a soup for €2.50, and I'll be amazed. That was really good value, really tasty. And also, look at this wine. I mean, it's like a goblet. That glass is so thick. It's a house wine. Got half a bottle for €6.90, and it's delicious. Yeah, it's really, really good. All right, all the main courses have just arrived, and everyone's ready to dig in. So first off, this one it's called potato pudding, and it's kind of, what is it? I don't know. Let's have a look. So it looks like mashed potato, and it's got bacon in it, and then we've got some sour cream here as well. So let's go for a little bit of sour cream. And let's see, dig a little hole. Oh, that's nice. It's basically a big pot of mashed potato with bacon in it, and some lovely. Oh, I just dropped some potato in Ida's drink. It's okay. With some sour cream on top, and it looks steaming hot. I think it's going to be really hot then. Let's try it. Oh, oh, it's so buttery, really rich. Yeah, and that sour cream is so different to the sour cream you might know in England or in other countries. It's so thick and it's so rich. It's almost like it's like creme fraiche. Like, it's really stiff. It's not a liquidy cream at all. It's really, really rich and a lovely sour flavour to it. That's a top dish. That's really good.
So here we have traditional dumplings with meat inside, and I think it's a bit of it's not dill. What is it? It's parsley on the top, and then a beautiful sauce. And I think it's like, I have no idea actually. It's some onion and something else. We'll try that. We'll see how it goes. I think it's bacon, fried bacon. Let's see. Oh, it looks lovely. I missed Lithuanian food. Look at that. Oh, it smells really good. And then we'll take some sauce. Mmm. It's so good. And it is bacon. Mmm. Yeah, fried bacon and onion. Delicious.
Alright, my one's here now. So these are the potato pancakes with pork mince and sour cream inside. And look, they're nicely fried and crispy. You know what amazes me about Lithuanian food? Is basically all these dishes are made of the same ingredients. So you've got potato, you've got some meat, and you've got a bit of sour cream and maybe some butter. And so many different dishes on that menu are just made with those three ingredients, and it's amazing how many different, really different dishes and delicious dishes you can make out of those simple ingredients. And yeah, it's a great cuisine. So potato pancakes fried with pork mince and sour cream, and a lovely rich meaty sauce with, like, I guess it's bone marrow, bacon and onions and stuff. So let's put those over the top. Oh, that looks good. Look at that. You can imagine you're working out in the cold fields all day and you come home to that, and you're going to be so excited to eat that. Yeah, look at that. So really simple, just mashed potato basically, or maybe even grated potato, around pork mince, deep fried with that sauce. Let's give it a go. It's hot. It's so, well, what's the word I'm looking for? It's very heavy, but in a good way. Like, it's hearty and rich and filling. Yeah, the sauce is great. Really rich meat. It's got the lovely fat from the, I guess it's bone marrow and bacon fat, just really melted down. It soaks into the potato. It's so good. Oh. Yeah, just beautiful. Yeah, that's like the definition of Lithuanian food in that one bowl. It's so good. So we've just discovered that there's extra sour cream, and it's right at the bottom of the sauce. So you've got this in here, and like sitting on the bottom was this layer of soured cream. So apparently you're supposed to pour it all out. Let's watch. Oh, there it is. Look at that. That makes a lot of sense. Yeah, that's perfect. Yeah, that's how it's supposed to be. Look at that. That's a big mouthful. Alright, and now for, again, one of the most traditional Lithuanian dishes. It's called Zeppeline, which basically means zeppelin, you know, like the airship. They're like this shape. And I filmed on the way in, and you would have seen just a few minutes ago there was a sign on the door. They put a number next to the door of how many of these that they had made, and it was in the millions, in the millions of these. It was probably their most popular dish. I mean, I don't know, but I imagine it is. So let's go. We've got, I guess, the same sauce with the lovely fatty meat on top and the sour cream on the bottom. Let's go. Yeah, that's the sour cream. That's a great way of doing it with the sauce on the bottom. Let's give that a try. Look, you can see it's got the pork mince right in the middle, and the potato is sort of grated, and then they're boiled, so it makes like a really big zeppelin-shaped dumpling. So good. Exactly the same ingredients, literally the same ingredients to my dish, but it just couldn't be more different. This time the potato is boiled instead of fried, and it just makes all the difference. and the shape and the way it's made. It's so good. Again, really hearty, really rich and heavy in a good way. Yeah, so nice, so nice. Winter food. Okay, down to my last bite, that is so filling. I'm absolutely stuffed. I was starving all day and really looking forward to it, and it's just completely filled me up. Really rich, really heavy, just delicious. It really reminds me of Bavarian food, like the food from Munich and the Oktoberfest sort of stuff, like Schweinshaxe, the big pork knuckles, and sauerkraut, mashed potatoes, sausages. It really reminds me of it. And there's a German word it reminds me of as well. It's Gemütlichkeit, that feeling of well-being and the warmth you get, like with friends, sitting around a warm fire, eating good food and drinking beer and stuff. This food really reminds me of that. It's wonderful, but I'm full. Last bite. Here we go. Now it's time for bed. So we got the bill, 47 euros for everything. 4 people, 4 starters, 4 mains, drinks all around, wine, alcohol, 47 euros for all of that. I mean, it's amazing value for money. It's so good. If you're in Vilnius and you're looking for some really traditional Lithuanian food, which is delicious and really good value, then et no Tavares. We'll put the link in the description. We'll put the name of the restaurant in the description. You can't go wrong. Give it a go. We've just headed out of the restaurant. That was absolutely brilliant. It's been such a good trip that we've had to Lithuania with everything. The drinks, the people, the food, especially the food, and the sights. Vilnius is a fantastic city. It's really good value for money. Everyone's really warm. The food is great. It's super interesting. There's loads of great history here. Really consider coming here for a trip. It's the perfect sort of long weekend. So that's it from me. Thank you so much for watching, and yeah, remember to subscribe. We're in Lithuania for a lot longer. This is not the only video we're going to be making here. If you found this interesting, we've got a lot more stuff. We're heading up north to where Ida's from, and there are some villages around and towns around, and we're going to try and find some old sort of Soviet relics as well. Those are going to be some good videos, so make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss them. And please do us a favor, give this video a thumbs up because it really helps our channel. We'll see you next time. Thank you for watching.